So this is the second in a series that I'm going to do on ComputerCut Pro. It's the same but a little bit different than the older ComputerCut. The first video that I did was on how to set up your plotter, which would be the first step that you would take in getting set up with ComputerCut Pro. And once you get that set up, your next step would be to start cutting some windows. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to do that in ComputerCut Pro and show the little bit of differences between the Pro and the old ComputerCut. So we'll open up the main page application, and as you can see, it's exactly the same as the old ComputerCut. The only difference is that when you select the vehicles, the year is now in front of the make. But that's the only difference between ComputerCut Pro and the old ComputerCut. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a pattern that we just put in to Pro, the new Kia Sportage, and go through the selection process here. And it pulls it into Pro, and as you can see, it's exactly the same as ComputerCut. And you work exactly the same as you did in the old ComputerCut. You just select the windows that you're going to select. These are all prearranged for a 40-inch roll of material. And then we'll hit Cut. And it brings it into the cut window. And this is where most of the change is made, but again, all you have to do is just hit the cut button and you cut these front windows. The only difference in that process is that in ComputerCut Pro, these windows are now colored solid, whereas in the old ComputerCut, they were not. If you want to view them as line art, you just go up to View and Show Fill, and it's now in line art. But I think if you work with the solid film, you'll get to like it. One point I did want to make here, because I see it all the time, people, when they pull it into the cut window, you should be able to just hit cut. You should not have to move anything around, but I constantly see people grabbing these images and moving them up off the bottom. I don't really know why they do it. They've told me that the bottom gets cut off and everything, but that shouldn't happen. If it does happen, in ComputerCut Pro, you can fix it so it doesn't happen. I went over that in the first video on how to set up the plotter. So I'm quickly going to show you how you can adjust this so that it will not cut off the bottom. You just go up to the cut and go to plotting defaults, and right here, move. X move and Y move. Your Y is movement this way, your X is this movement this way. So if it's cutting this off right here, all you have to do is just go in here and put in the amount that you want it to move up, you know, whether it be a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, or whatever. You just put in whatever that amount is in there and click close. And now whenever you pull in a pattern, it's not going to cut the bottom part. So all you have to do is just hit the cut button. The only other small changes that are different in Pro than in the old ComputerCut is that if you want to rotate this image, you go over here to this arrow right here, and you'll see a hand come up, and you just hold the mouse down and just rotate it like that. You no longer can rotate it within here. There's all kinds of other ways to rotate it, which I'll get into in future videos. And one other difference is that if you are in the View window, if you want to select a pattern, you have to click on the edge of the pattern. You can't just click in the inside of the pattern. There's a workaround that, and on future upgrades to the program, we're going to make it available so that you can just select inside here. But for right now, if you want to select the pattern, you have to click on here and then grab that. But as I said, I think if you work in the fill feature, it will grow on you. Okay, so we've cut those two windows, and you'll go and you'll select these windows here. Now, another big difference between ComputerCut Pro and the old ComputerCut. In the old ComputerCut, if you wanted to select all of these images right here, you had to click and drag a box around all of these images. You don't have to do that in ComputerCut Pro. You just click and drag through the images like that, and it selects them. So again, I just hit the cut button, and it brings it into the cut window, and you hit cut, and you've cut your first car. So now that I've shown you how easy it is to cut your first car, I want to show you some of the little differences. If you look in here, right here, this black border right here, this is what is commonly called a sign blank. Now, ComputerCut Pro is a kind of welding between the sign software from SignLab that we worked from and ComputerCut. So in sign software, they work with these called blank. And this is the area in which you do all of your work. So you cannot go outside of it. If I click on this, I can't go up above outside of this. In the old ComputerCut, you could do that. But if you did, then you would risk cutting off the top here. So you literally cannot go outside of this. So working with the sign blank is going to be a little bit of a difference for you. But the big difference is that in ComputerCut Pro, you can instantly change for different size rolls. So let's say I wanted to change this to 20-inch. So I just go up here and go to roll width and change it to 20-inch, and what it's going to do, it's going to optimize it for a 20-inch roll. So you can see how it's zoomed into it here. So I want to show you a couple of shortcuts so that you can view out. So on your keyboard, if you click on your keyboard and hold down the Control key and hit the A key, that's select all. So you hit Control A, and that selects all, and then you hit your F7 key, and that will zoom out to everything that you've selected in there. And as you can see, it's optimized it for a 20-inch roll instantaneously. So let's go back to the 40-inch width, and what it's going to do, it's going to optimize it for a 40-inch now that we've done this. So it instantaneously optimizes it for using a 40-inch roll. Now, one thing that if you want to zoom in to an area, you hit the zoom in button and just select an area inside the blank. Go outside, it can do some strange things. I'll kind of do this. Let's see what happens here. See, it just kind of is a little bit strange. So to get back to the default window, you just hit F8. And boom, it'll zoom right back to the default window. So whenever you go outside the blank and you can't see things the way in which you want to see them, all you have to do is hit F8, it'll zoom out to the default window, or hit Control A and it will select all of the windows in there, and you hit F7 and it zooms out to everything. There's a bunch of other stuff that you can do in ComputerCut Pro that you couldn't do in the old ComputerCut, like for instance these guidelines. You can adjust the guidelines and everything. You can also change these blank sizes here to custom sizes, and these are all videos that I'll get into later on Shortcut. And one final point I wanted to make: when we migrated all of these patterns over from the old ComputerCut servers to the new ones, we could not get them to retain the group feature. What that means is this image here is now two images rather than just one. So if you just click on the sun strip here and hit cut, it's going to pull it in here, and I'll click view, and it's not going to have the cutout for the mirror. So all you have to do is, again, you don't have to click and drag or box around the whole thing. Just go like this, and that selects both of them in there, and hit the cut button, and it pulls it into the cut window here. And then in here, if again, it's still not grouped, so if you go and move this, it's not going to pull the cutout with it. So you just hit Control A and then hit your group button, and you can move it around. So there's a quick rundown on how easy it is to get up and running, and to show the little bit of differences between the ComputerCut Pro and the old ComputerCut.